That was definitely very impactful, and I honestly carried that with me, that if I ever started a boutique, an online boutique, it would have to have a purpose bigger than me. So that is something that over time, as we nurture this business, I would like to give back to these type of communities that need the help to get back on their feet.
We love the San Gabriel Valley. There are some amazing people and businesses here, and we think they deserve the spotlight. Welcome to the SGV Master Key Podcast. We'll have on the people that make the SGV great. We'll find out what makes them tick, their ups and downs, their history, and we're going to have fun doing it. This is the SGV Master Key Podcast. And now your hosts, Scott Warmoth and Russell Mano.
All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the SGV Master Key Podcast. You know, listening to that intro, I was like, wow, do we live up to that? Like, just so hyped, emotionally charged intro. But thank you for joining us. If you're new here, welcome. We bring you the in-depth look at the people and businesses that make up the San Gabriel Valley. And if you're a returning listener, stay tuned. We have a great show for you today. As always, we have partnered with San Gabriel Valley Now, your source for city news, announcements, events, special savings, and everything SGV. Check them out on Instagram, sgv.now, and read their new SGV Now magazine on their website, sgvnow.com. Well, Scott, you know, it's an interesting subject that we're going to touch on today, but, you know, I have a personal connection to part of the story where, you know, I've had a family member be homeless at one point in their lives, actually multiple points in her life. And I remember the first time I was in high school, I think when my older sister was homeless, and I had learned of that. And literally what I did was I drove my car to downtown LA for hours looking for her. And I didn't find her. But it was just a really horrible thing to imagine, you know.
Something about it disturbs your own sense of security, I think.
Yeah.
I remember after high school one day, I was walking down an area of town that was known for homeless and maybe addicts, and I spotted a person that I had gone to grade school with.
Oh.
And I probably, you know, visibly, you know, was shooken at that. And he didn't respond to me, and I didn't say anything to him. But yeah, it makes you question your own security.
Yeah.
You know, how solid is it really?
Sure. You know, in Pasadena where I live, there's been maybe a noticeable increase in the homeless. And I used to have a different opinion about giving to them. I used to feel like I would only give them food, and if I gave them money, I needed to be certain how they spent it. And my thoughts on that have really shifted, where now I feel like, who am I to judge what they spend it on? You know, if a person who has a home has a difficult day and they choose to have a drink to get over it, like, how much more difficult is this person's day? And who am I to say, well, you can't go buy something that's going to make you feel better? And another thing that I learned from my wife is, you know, I would watch her always give at minimum $20. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. And she's like, what are they going to do with $1? What are they going to do with $5? You know, I sort of have adopted that too. I still try to discern, you know, maybe if someone's trying to take advantage, but yeah, being
that's
homeless
the problem. You never know, and you have to be non-judgmental, but you still have to be discerning.
Sure. Well, you know, people are probably wondering, like, well, okay, why are we talking about that? This show is really to highlight the people and the stories behind this great community. And there's a connection with that story, or what we were talking about, and one of our guests' story. They do a retail clothing line, right? Women's clothing line. And it's Jentle Femme with a J on Instagram, and their names are Jennifer and Jasmin. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are you guys so you sound anxious or worried about being on? It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of fun, and the direction of the show is really what you guys make of it. So, but let's start off with like, what is your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
Let's start with Jennifer.
Hi, yes. So since a very early age, I would come and ride the Avocado Heights trails, the horse trails, and also attend the City Industry annual Spanish horse events.
Oh.
And also, since I was young, our parents and family members always got together at the Sousa Park, the mountains, and that was our little getaway when we were little. Very humble getaway, but I continue to come back here to do business, to bring my little ones to the arboretoriums and all the little gems that the San Gabriel Valley has to offer.
Yeah.
So those are my direct connections with the San Gabriel Valley.
Awesome. All right, now it's your turn. Jasmin, what is your connection?
Hello, yes. Well, I actually grew up here. I moved from the Los Angeles area. I grew up in Compton. My mom moved us out. I was 8 years old, and from 8 years all the way to 18, I lived in La Puente. I actually lived in Bassett, which is a little city in La Puente. It's closer to the El Monte area. And I graduated from Bassett High School. That's where I met Daisy.
Of Tia Gladys.
Yes, of Tia Gladys. I've met her in Torch. I went to Torch Middle School. That's where I met her. And we've been friends since.
Wasn't there another connection to Bassett?
Yeah, Bassett High School was, I believe it was Carlos
Aguilar.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So, you guys and all of our guests are actually the people who make up this community. You're not an outsider. You're not, someone who is not representative of here. Like, it is people like you who make it up. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you guys do now.
So currently we just launched back in on July 6th. We launched an online boutique for women. The goal is to nurture the business and grow it and offer to size inclusive to most sizes. And through this line, our common goal is to empower women because when you look good, you feel good and you show up your best. And I just feel like delivering that girlfriend experience amongst other women is definitely a way to give back. And we're doing it through business, through fashion.
What does that term mean, size inclusive?
Size inclusive means that you are catering not just to your typical small, medium, large, but we're branching out to the bigger sizes. So anything above 1X that we could probably get our hands on to offer to our community of women.
And is that not a typical thing for women's clothing to offer that?
It could be a hit and miss. And it definitely has to do with taste and so many factors that some girls wish, like, I wish I could wear that clothes that small girl has. And, to honor that, the sizes, the reality of what fashion really is, because we're catering to everybody.
Sure. And how did that idea, or how did the business come about?
Honestly, we both like to play dress up since we were little, so it's just something that came. My career ran its course with COVID, so I'm also a full-time homeschool mom. So I also wanted to get something on the side that I could do for fun. So I came up with the clothing line and asked Jasmin to come and help me and support me and see if she was interested in launching this. But I had an experience that links back to my experience. But I went to a charity event for homeless women and troubled youth that were living on the streets, and it was a fashion show for women who were homeless.
A fashion show for women who were homeless.
So they brought in a collection of different stylists who donated their clothing, and they dressed up the women, and I got to do the makeup for the women and see firsthand these women dress up and really transform before my eyes to feel confident about going to the workforce and looking for jobs for a better future for themselves and their children. So that was very impactful, and I said, wow, we can use something as fun as fashion to make a direct impact on society.
Wow, I never considered that, right? Like, there's so many obstacles for people who don't have resources to go out and get them, and looking good is certainly, one of them that is difficult to obtain if you're homeless.
Right. And especially being women, I feel like it does not matter what your situation is. if you feel your best and look your best, you're going to show up your best, right? So that was definitely very impactful, and I honestly carried that with me, that if I ever started a boutique, an online boutique, it would have to have a purpose bigger than me. So that is something that over time, as we nurture this business, I would like to give back to these type of communities that need the help to get back on their feet.
Wow.
So you've started a business and it has a purpose in your mind. And it's not just generating profits. Of course, you want to do that.
Right.
But how would you describe the single most important purpose of your business?
The value that we translate just through other women feeling good and feeling empowered through our line. We're branded now as Jentle Femme. Even the name says it, Jentle Femme. So there's a lot that goes behind beauty and psychology, and how you feel as a woman, and that really matters. So there's definitely a message to translate through clothing. And eventually we hope to be at those charity events giving back to these women.
When was this event that you attended?
This event was about 3 years ago.
Okay, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
And at that time, what was going on in your life?
I was working as a sales executive for a skincare line. I have a background in makeup and skincare sales. And at that time, I was asked to attend that event. So it wasn't paid for, but I said, wow, I've never done a community event like this. It must be fun. I'll show up. So at the time, I was working as a sales executive, but this was on my time off.
And then you said that career ended?
Yes.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID. So I had a market where I would go into stores and support and build relationships and sales. So once COVID hit, that was gone. No in store, no in person. So I pursued other things.
And what is your role in the business, or how do you participate, Jasmin?
Well, we both started. I started on my end. I was starting a children boutique, but later as I went into that, it was a little harder. You don't really see many vendors out in downtown LA, so my vendors would actually have to come out from out of the country, and it was a little harder since I was starting small. Their MLQs, so their quantities were big, and I was like, I can't really do that.
What is that MLQ?
MLQ, it's the minimum quantity.
Oh, okay. And what do you, when you say boutique, what does that mean? Like, sorry, I don't know.
No worries. It's an online boutique, so we have curated, hand-selected pieces. So we go out and we select each piece, and we create collections for women on our website.
I see.
It's online. So it's like a brick and mortar, but online.
I see. I'm sorry to stop you there, Jasmin. So you were trying to do with children's.
Children.
Okay.
Yes, I was trying to do with children, and then Jenn, she's my cousin actually. We've kind of just, those cousins or family members that you don't really speak to because you don't really grow up with them. I grew up with them all the way up to the age of 8. And then because I moved out of that city in LA, I left all that behind. So my mother left my father. And then that's kind of where like all the, contacts with close family and cousins, it kind of just stopped. And so here we are again. I started talking to Jenn again. This was around 2020. Yes. And
how many years were there where you didn't have contact?
With Jenn, it had to be more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a beautiful reconnection. I
Yes.
told her
Yeah,
you were
how did
gone,
that
but
happen?
we missed you.
How did the reconnection happen?
We bumped into each other a few times at like family parties, but I had already gotten married, had children. I moved out of state, so there wasn't really a whole lot of connection there. And then with social media, you keep up with whoever you want closer. So we started to keep up with one another. And my mother and her father are siblings, so we're sister cousins.
Okay.
And blood just calls each other, and we reunited and hit it right back up. And Jasmin has been a huge asset to Jentle Femme. She's super techy, super great at marketing, strategy. So she's definitely a great partner to be with on this venture.
Wonderful.
I'm interested in the sort of the logistics of your business. You know, how does it work? How do you go out and you go shopping? Do you do it like downtown in the clothing, I don't know what you would call it.
Exactly. The fashion district.
Fashion district.
Yes,
yeah.
that's where we go. It is like shopping.
We shop for others. We love the products first.
Exactly.
We bring them to our store. We do source with vendors, and then we dress it up. We stage it. We do all the back end to upload it on our website. So it's definitely a lot of legwork for us, and we're getting to know that side of the business, that side of the hustle, because we're both full-time moms and have jobs on the side of that. But we're doing it all online, and then we ship out.
And who's been teaching you how to do all this?
We've been having a lot of fun breaking our head learning how to do this.
Really?
Wow.
Sure.
So you're just teaching yourself.
And the internet.
Education, huh? Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast with Gary Vee this morning. He was just like, it's the internet. It's either you run with it or you get behind.
And are those helping you?
Yes, because it's true, you know. It's like, you know, me, I'm first generation. So, you know, I was always helping my mom. I'm the oldest of two with my mom. And it was always like, okay, Jasmin, you do this. Like, help me. You're the one that knows. Like, come on. All the techie stuff. I was like, all right, cool. But then it's like, now I'm a mom. And then there's these new social media, these new things coming out. And I'm like, I'm going to get left behind just like my mom. Like, I got to keep up.
You don't want to be like your parents.
No.
It's fascinating what you guys can learn, what can be learned online, right? Like amazing amount of content and information. And I think, you know, I think Scott is unique in recognizing that from his generation. A lot of people may say like, oh, the internet, and you know, you have to discern good information anywhere. But I think even institutions like MIT put free courses online. So if someone's like, you can't learn on the internet, they're just really mistaken.
For sure. And it's so easy to learn it now. All the platform is really set up for user friendly.
Yes.
So everything we are using is pretty much user friendly, and we're using it. And you know, homeschooling helps because it helps me learn how to learn as a parent as well. But the platforms are beautiful. They've been great tools for us to grow our business, but also the people that like and trust us have supported us a lot. And other women-owned businesses that we're partnering up with. So it's not just something we want to keep to ourselves. We actually want to give back to others now that we have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, a big part of this show is like not only highlighting the people here, but for the listener to be able to connect and resonate with and say, oh, maybe I can do that too. You know, maybe I should try that, or maybe I can also experience something. So, you know, just hearing that you guys can go out and start this from scratch and learn on your own, I'm sure is going to be inspiring to somebody out there. I'd like to get into your story, the reason why we started this show the way we did, if you're open to that, Jennifer. You had shared with me when we spoke on the phone, you had experienced a difficult time in your life. What was that about?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, I was homeless, and it was only for about a week. And we hit a family shelter that God gracefully put in our way. But that was definitely a rough chapter of my life, a very dark chapter. I got married young. I moved out of state with my husband. He's from Washington State. And we have 3 little ones. My first 2 were back to back. So I was hit with a severe postpartum depression. And it affected my husband so bad. I was living in a state where I didn't have family. So that was very heavy for me, 2 under 1. And then I got pregnant with my 3rd. So life just caught me by the leg. You know, sometimes when you're young and don't think about your decisions at that moment, they take you to places that sometimes are hard to get out on your own. So I suffered from heavy postpartum depression, and it affected my husband so harshly that he ended up dropping his job at Waste Management at the time. So he dropped his job, and we headed down to California with $800 because I couldn't. The weather was extreme. It was harsh. It was really hard for me. So I said, I'd rather live somewhere where I have family and I'm familiar with. And we just came down with $800 in our bank account.
Wow.
I got up and left. No one in my family knew of that situation at the time. I was very ashamed and very sad. I couldn't find the words to ask for the help. So being pregnant with a third and feeling like life is on top of you with so many responsibilities. Your husband quit, couldn't deal. We were both young. Was very awakening and very humbling.
What led you out of that?
So we spent a week and it was around Christmas time. It was 2 weeks before Christmas. We spent a week at the shelter, and I prayed every single day, all day, every day for a way out. And I had, at the time, one of my cousins, her dad had passed away and left them some money, life insurance. And I said, hey, taxes are around the corner. Would you loan me some money so I can get into a rental apartment? We had good credit. You know, it was just a moment in life that was just dark for both me and my husband to make decisions. And she, sure enough, loaned me about like almost $7,000, got back on my feet. And as soon as the year hit and we did our taxes, we paid her back. And from there on, my husband and I looked at one another and said, we will never allow for this to happen ever again. And hitting rock bottom like that is very humbling, and it teaches you a lot. Especially, I never imagined that I would ever be in that situation, especially coming from a background of a very hardworking family. But it taught me things on a soul level, and most importantly, it humbled me to learn how to communicate and ask for help when I need it before things get to a disaster. Especially once you have children, you have to think for those outside of you. So it was definitely a very humbling experience.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, things like that really build your character and show you what you're really capable of, right?
Yes.
And you can look back and almost nothing that is presented to you going forward, like I can overcome this.
100%,
right?
yes. And honestly, we hit the ground running. We both worked. We both had jobs lined up on the way here. I had 2 jobs. I worked as a sales rep at State Farm, and I went into the beauty industry, which I loved. I was pregnant. I worked up until the last day, and my husband went on with trucking, and from there we built ourselves up, and we have 2 businesses. So we created Jentle Femme as a result of our trucking company and hard work and effort. So it definitely taught me to value work, to value your mental health, and also to give back. It gave me a different perspective on giving back as well, and who you're helping, because you don't know who's a decision away of that breaking point.
Wow. This is for my own curiosity, because I have worked with many women before, and several of them have also experienced postpartum depression. Were you given Pitocin?
Yes.
So every single one has answered that affirmatively, and it's my understanding that it's because it's fake oxytocin, and after the pregnancy, your body stops producing it and plummets, and that's what causes the postpartum depression.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's new, because I always felt like I was robbed from my experience, honestly, and it was very harsh. It was very severe. And my daughter, it didn't help. I think it might have been a result from the birth. My daughter was colicky night and day for 3 months. And
that's tough too.
That didn't help. That's what spun it off. That's what really took it off, is that she cried night and day for 3 months. She was colicky. Nothing apparently was wrong with her. I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't eat. It was midwinter, so, you know, I've always suffered from the winter blues, so it just got worse. So all of that in conjunction was a recipe for disaster. But honestly, at the end of the day, looking back on it now, hindsight 2020, it was all divine purpose.
Wow.
It's hard to see it when you go through it, but when you get out of it and life gives you some golden nuggets, you really appreciate those circumstances.
Well, that's the story of success. I mean, you can't, I've always felt you can't have success if you haven't failed many times, probably.
The more you fail, the faster you learn.
Sure. Well, Jennifer and Jasmin, we ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. What did you guys bring with you today?
So with me today, I brought pictures of myself riding in the San Gabriel Valley. I wish I had more, but it was back in the day before social media existed. So I brought pictures of myself riding out in the San Gabriel Valley.
And for the listening audience, you're on a horse.
I'm on a horse,
okay.
Yes. So this is what saved me through my teen years, kept me facing the sun kept me in my light. And horses are still, till this day, a very big part of my life. I own about 3 horses.
Oh,
Yes.
are they just riding horses, or are they race horses?
Right now we just have them in home as pets. I haven't rode since I had my little ones because my back has been out ever since. But they're just more for mental health and sanity. There's a form of therapy for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say the sun is important to you, isn't it?
It really is.
You mentioned winter blues, and
I'm a sun baby for sure.
how did you take Washington State?
I loved it. I loved all 4 seasons. My kids really held me through it.
Huh.
But the seasons of the winter coming from California are very harsh.
Right,
So it was very different lifestyle. The driving was scary. I worked at an insurance office at State Farm. So every day we got calls, accidents all the time. So that part of it was just the sad part. But other than that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state. The best scenery I've ever seen.
Beautiful. And Jasmin, what did you bring with you today?
I brought this little amulet. Well, it's part of my necklace, but I was telling Jen this morning that I remember as a kid, I did have a troubled childhood with my parents, both my parents. They weren't always in the best terms, and I just remember always holding on to it, you know, when I would kind of see them argue or, you know, get into things that I wasn't supposed to see as a kid.
It was like a security blanket.
Can you describe
Yes.
it for the listener who
Yes, it's a little girl praying.
Oh.
Yes.
And where did you get this?
I got this as a gift from my mother. She gave it to me when I was little. I remember, I think I was about 6, 7, around there, from what I remember. Small.
Wow. I try to live with this notion that people should not compare pain. You know, people you should not say to someone, "Oh, what I've experienced is worse," or the opposite, to think like, "Oh, yours is so much worse." You know, and just to acknowledge that both of those experiences are really challenging, and you guys have come out the other end, you know, stronger for them, it seems.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. It's like everything that we do going forward, because we have little ones watching us. It's not in spite of, but despite of, right? So despite everything we've gone through or where we've come from, we're just as capable as anyone that does have the education. And it's okay to start slow. It's okay to start where you're at from square one. And I feel like we definitely often come back to places like San Gabriel Valley that remind us of that, to keep going forward and pushing for better.
Sure.
Definitely.
And, you know, just before I came here today, Scott, I was like, these stories, what would they look like if they were in, you know, done in the Hamptons? What would the stories be coming out of there? You know, that I grew up and I had this wonderful home and I had this car at 16, and, you know, they would just be different. I'm not assuming that everyone there is
Right.
like that, but all these stories of coming up from, you know, maybe their parents had immigrated here, or having a difficult or not as easy, you know, path to success is pretty common, or it seems to be a common story coming out of the San Gabriel Valley. Right?
But I'm really impressed at how introspective you both are at such a young age, you know. It's
Yeah.
To realize what you went through and what it
Yes.
means.
And it really, I think the fact that it took extreme pain to want to experience extreme pleasure, or never want to experience that pain again, just awoke in like, okay, how questions, how can I make this better? How can I work on myself so that I don't make these mistakes that maybe I didn't know or I was ignorant to?
Who taught you about how questions?
I actually there was a hunger in me, a spiritual hunger in me that awoken about right when COVID hit. So I took a course in holistic coaching and healing. And I learned that therapy is often best through questions. And when someone guides you through questions that you can answer for yourself, because we do have the answer to the questions ourselves. So I learned through that course, and I learned through journaling and reading and a lot of inner work that I've done for myself, because I just got to a moment with myself that I said, my parents came from so far away from a very humble town in Mexico to give me a better life that they didn't know what that was going to look like, right? But then I got to experience, and I said, okay, what do I get to do with this? Where do I go on from this? So just feeding that spiritual thirst that I had has definitely opened a lot of arbitraries to different things in my life that come together as who I am as a person overall.
I really love that you are both sharing so much of yourself, because your current customers, your potential, future customers, to get this in-depth look at who you are is so incredible as for business, right? Because if you're just, here's what we were selling, come buy this, it's not as connecting as, wow, I really connect with your story, with who you are, and what you're doing. So that's amazing that you guys are sharing that. I want to get more into what you guys are doing next for your business, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
At Wormuth Law, they believe that just because you speak a foreign language, come from a different culture, or simply don't know how to navigate the legal system, that should not prevent you from compensation from injury or receiving benefits. Their multicultural staff have been helping SGVers like you for over 38 years. Visit law888.com or call them at 626-784-7017 and tell them you heard about them on this podcast.
All right, we're back with Jennifer and Jasmin of Jentle Femme. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now with the business and what you look forward to in the future.
So currently we're marketing online, but we're also working to show in person. So we're going to be at pop-ups coming up in October. We will also be placing our items at urban markets throughout Southern California and LA. So customers can come in and shop or get to know us if they're shopping already. But that is currently what we're working on, is getting it fully up and going in person and online.
What does that look like to have it in person?
In person, we will be vendors in a market, either a pop-up market or inside a store that has vendors come in and sell, not just one vendor, but multiple vendors partner up and go into a store. So it's going to be like a retail space.
Well, I never heard of that. Is this common in clothing?
It's new.
It's new.
Yeah.
It's up and coming.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a new concept
new
that's
thing.
become popular.
Is it like a food court? Like
Yes.
with clothes?
With clothes or accessories.
Really?
Yes.
Different vendors. So there's a lot of markets, and people are opting out of malls to come to these experiences where they can enjoy food, buy little miscellaneous things, accessories, clothing, and support small businesses.
Wow. And do you guys have plans for a brick and mortar, or is this,
We do. It's definitely a manifestation of ours and a goal for the future. For now, we want to get to know person and grow our platform and our social through in-person meetups, and for them to see our brand, come and just meet us. So we're taking it slow. We're learning it as we go, but we definitely have a visual for brick and mortars. And San Gabriel Valley is actually a
Location.
pinpoint for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when did you say you started your business?
We started Jentle Femme. We launched it July 6th, but we started since December.
Has it
Last
been
year.
going well for you?
It has. We've actually had a lot of positive feedback, and it's been wonderful. It's been really fun. Jasmine and I always say that it's like playing dress up with your cousin, because that's really what it feels like.
Yes.
So we really hope to translate that love that we have for it to others.
and is there a common thread among your customers?
Yes.
There is, and there's variety as well.
Variety.
So, and we're all actually getting requests from like the girls that want sizes bigger than what the norm is. Like, hey, bring this, bring that. So we are very much open to feedback and hearing what others would like for us to bring to them. And that's actually very exciting to me, because if I can empower somebody that looks nothing like me, it's just exciting. I'm doing something right. So definitely want to pursue it.
The commonality, though, is that, just wanting to do better for yourself. I feel like from our personal, they followed us along to Jentle Femme. And that's where I see it, like, oh, they're following us because maybe we're inspiring them.
Oh, really? Oh, so some of your social network who know you, know your story, and then they're like, wow, you guys are doing this thing.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay.
And some that don't know our story, that just like us, or are familiar with us, have definitely followed us, because I feel like both Jasmine and I are very introverted and we don't share our life. So this is definitely a new perspective to many of our friends that don't know who we really are at our core. But the common thread is familiar people who love and support us.
So when I look at your Instagram, it looks good. It looks
Thank
nice.
you.
The color schemes look, I don't know, I don't know how to describe it, but intentional, right? And is it you who is appearing in the clothing on it, or who are the models on there?
So we're limited. We're limited to staff, so it's me and Jasmin at the moment modeling. So Jasmin is in some and I'm in some, and we're trying to keep it cohesive, but also size inclusive as like body types. It's clothing. That's just really what it is. And then we have one other gal on there that's super cute, which is my friend's daughter, who actually owns a hat business, and we partnered with her. So you see hats on our website, and that's because we're collabing as a sister brand to actually help her business also expand. So it's been a collaboration.
Yes.
So you not only are learning and running, this clothing business, but also social media and modeling and homeschooling, doing all these things.
Playing makeup.
Organized chaos, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a lot we have to manage. So that's why we have taken it slow and at our pace, where we're pacing and leading ourselves with it and learning the tools, because Instagram is changing daily. It's changing daily. So it's a lot to capture in one moment, but we're taking it as we can, where we can, and definitely nurturing the business to end up probably eventually giving job opportunities to gals that can come on board on our team.
Wow.
What is the most popular platform that you use?
Instagram for sure.
Wow.
And a little bit of TikTok.
We play with that one.
Yeah.
So do you share like who you are on there? I'm just curious, like, because we're trying to humanize Scott on our Instagram.
Yeah. Do you think you can make me human?
Yes.
But please, no women's clothes.
It's definitely, that's one thing that I definitely kept in mind since the beginning. And I told Jasmin, I want to grow ourselves organically and authentically. So we do have a little introduction with the picture of both of us, and a small little introduction, because people honestly don't want to go on through paragraphs of reading online, right? Some people might. But we wanted to keep it short, simple, sweet introduction, so that they do know that there are two girls with a heart and a pulse on the other end, and are very common to the other girl on the other side who also might have children,
Yes.
a career, going to school at the same time. So we definitely want to keep it relatable and be human about it as well. So we do we show our personality through our page, I feel.
Yeah. What do you have to say to the single mom or the stay-at-home mom with children who's like, I want to start this side thing. I don't know that I can do it. That the tech feels like too much. I have to learn too much. What do you have to say to those people who may be listening?
To those people that feel intimidated by their dreams, I would say, because they're all attainable, is write them down. Write them down on paper, even if whatever comes off your mind, write it down and take one step at a time. It's really about putting one foot forward for God or the divine to bless, So that's really how it's been for Jasmin and I. It's been stepping stones to where we are now and today, and that's how we grow this business. So take your time, do your research. No dream is too big or too small. You have to start somewhere. There's always a humble beginning, so don't be afraid. It's never too big. And right now, more than ever, we have all the tools and opportunities to start, no matter how fast or slow you want to take it.
Wow, that's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. So many people are afraid to fail. So many people are afraid to take that first step. Our first show, like we would start the show, I would say, I'm Russell, and you'd say, I'm Scott. And looking back and, just telling Tori, like watching some other people try a show for the first time, I looked at her and I said, wow, look how far we've come, but you have to be bad before you can be good at something, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, I failed. One day I got my name wrong.
no,
You were so nervous.
Did you really?
That was a joke.
But if you look at our first episodes, he's probably scared to look at it, but there's a noticeable
Maybe
difference.
I did. Yeah.
So, but
No,
yeah.
for sure. I tell Jen all the time, we're living and we're learning all the time. Living and learning. Just keep going.
And realistic goals. Honestly, it takes being realistic and grounding yourself and saying, okay, we just hit a mark with ourselves where we're like, okay, we're 90 days in. Let's see how this looks. And do we like this direction? Do we continue or do we change it? So always, I feel like breaking it apart in what are the wins, what are the takeaways, and what are the opportunities can definitely help you have a direction to your goal.
Wow.
Sure.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that with our listeners. We're going to transition here and get into a little bit more about what you guys are about relative to the San Gabriel Valley.
Let's talk about your SGV3, where you identify favorite places or things to do. And I'm anxious to hear what
For
places each of you might have. But let's start with Jennifer. What are your 3?
My 3 are Avocado Heights, the riding trails there. They're beautiful.
And that's near 605 and the 10 or the 60, right?
The 10 and the
The
60.
60
Yes.
Yeah.
and the 60, yes.
Yeah, between that on the east side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're riding trails.
They're riding
Yes.
trails. And you can just pull in with your trailers and bring your horses down and ride the trails.
It's nice.
Are those county trails or private trails of?
I'm not sure, to be
I
honest.
think
Some
they're
sort.
public.
They're probably
Yeah.
Part of the county for sure.
Okay.
You can take your.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's one.
Wait, if you don't own a horse, can you go there and rent a horse?
You can ask your friend if you can borrow their
I'm
horse.
not sure. Yeah, I feel like the trail riding is probably just for the trail, and they might have surrounding ranches who offer lessons and
Yes.
riding on the trail that you can look into. I would come in with family, and
So these are ranches, you called them.
Yes.
Okay.
So not ever owning a horse or knowing someone who owns a horse, I imagine it's a little more worrisome to loan a horse than it is a car. Is that true?
It could be, yes, especially if the person doesn't know what they're doing.
Sure.
Because it's $1,000. I mean, a thousand, almost a ton. They almost weigh a ton. It's a beast you're on top of.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what you're doing, you get into trouble. You do need some initiation to it.
Okay.
Yes. So that was one, Avocado Heights, and then also the City of Industry Expo Center. They host an annual Spanish horse awarding and show. It's very beautiful. It's a 3-day event. So every year.
Where is that?
Wow.
At the City of Industry Expo Center.
I don't
Off
know where
of-
that is.
I don't know either.
It is off of the Temple City exit, off of the 60
Temple, the street.
Temple Street
It's on
exit.
Olive Amor too. It's like it's going out that way. It's towards La Puente, but you kind of pass Old Town, heading that direction.
Oh, I didn't know there was an old town out there.
It's off the
Town.
60 in
Yes.
Temple.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That
That way.
is that near like the Sheraton Hills, or it used to be called Sheraton Hills. There's a golf course.
Yes, that's
it's
where the
somewhere
Expo
around
Center
there?
is. Where the
Oh.
golf course is.
Okay.
Yes, it's really
Oh
big.
yes,
It's
I
big.
know. Near Azusa
Yes,
and
yes.
right. Yeah.
That way.
It's a beautiful expo center.
Oh.
So
Okay.
They host these annually, so that's definitely one of my favorites to do. And then also the Caramello Cafe in
La Puente.
La Puente
That's
as
it.
well.
Caramello Cafe. Where is that located?
It's in La Puente.
And what do they serve there?
They sell baguettes and breakfast, and it's a cute
Crepes.
cafe. It's crepes.
Delicious.
It's delicious.
Oh.
So if you're a foodie, that's
Oh,
definitely
yes.
one I would put on the
Very
list.
good.
for
Crepes.
sure.
Crepes. Okay. It sounds like a
It's like a French
sweet place.
pancake.
Yes,
Is it? Okay. Caramello.
but
Pastries.
I was actually there when it initiated, because it's across the street from Bassett High School. So late starts, which would be on Wednesdays, I believe. Me and Daisy, we'd be like,
Oh.
oh, let's try out that new place. I'm like, okay, caramelos. And caramelo means like candy, like caramel in Spanish.
Mm.
And so we'd go and we'd share it because they're pretty big. Oh, and they're so good. They're delicious. I've never tried any from that place, like better than that place. They're so good.
And
Okay.
so many other foodie.
And they've grown. Actually, it was just a little booth, and now they've expanded. So they rented out the next one. So there's 2, and they put more Mexican food in. So it's like
Okay. Caramello Cafe in La
Yes.
Puente.
delicious.
And if you want to try one more, I don't know the exact cross streets, would be Amare Cafe, and it's a Venezuelan cafe in Pasadena. Amazing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
What is it?
Amare. Amare
Yeah.
is the name of the cafe, And it's Old Town Pasadena. It's delicious. Their breakfast is Venezuela. It's from South America.
What
South
streets? What streets?
Venezuelan.
It's right by the Pasadena Convention Center.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the exact cross
Is it
streets.
on Colorado though, or is it on Green?
Green.
It's on Green.
I think Green.
It's
Yeah,
like
I
on
definitely
a
have
corner.
seen. Yeah,
It's
I've seen
amazing.
it. It's
Oh.
good.
It's delicious, yes. And the serving size is amazing.
Oh,
Great.
even better.
Okay.
Yes, South American. It's just different, but it's delicious. It's just culture meets.
Oh yeah, now I know.
LA.
It's actually, yeah, I think it might be Fair Oaks. No, not Fair Oaks, but
Royal Parkway.
I think maybe a Royal Parkway.
I think it is a Royal
Yeah.
Parkway.
Okay.
Right, yeah, I know it, yes.
It's delicious.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I'm just thinking about
lunchtime.
all these.
For sure.
Well, I'm thinking of breakfast still.
Breakfast.
Yeah.
Yes, their brunch is amazing. The line goes out the door,
Oh,
so you'll
yeah.
recognize it. You'll know where you're there when you're.
Oh, yeah.
Those places are the best.
Okay, well, Jasmine, what?
Caramelo Cafe. For
Oh,
sure.
okay.
That's
Also,
one of them.
okay.
I do have a few others. So Chris's in the city of Bassett. That's like, you must go. It's
Wow.
like their burger joint, in the
Oh,
little
yeah.
city.
Chris's.
Chris's
Okay.
Burgers.
Well, this will be a real adventure to see Bassett, because I don't even
Yes.
know Bassett.
It's small.
We've had guests from Bassett High School before, but yeah. So that would be. Can you kind of describe where that is?
Yes, so Bassett, it's towards El Monte, borderline Hacienda Heights, borderline Baldwin Park.
Okay,
So it's an unincorporated little city there. They named it Bassett. Before I would say, oh, it's La Puente, but no, it's a little city within La Puente. So it's like very small. But you do have a lot of these little places like Caramelo Cafe, Chris's, and they're all really close to each other.
okay.
Yes. There's another place that I really enjoy. It's called Pho Ha. It's in City and Industry. I love Vietnamese pho.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Delicious.
That was unexpected, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is a little further away, but it's down Valley. So Valley, you know how Valley is a long street. You can go straight down Valley.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's just on Valley. Everything is close by to Valley. So this one is like the moms and pops type of place. Oh, it's delicious. My husband actually took me there.
What's the best thing there?
Their pho, of course. I also get their spring rolls and their egg rolls. Oh, delicious.
And how about at Chris's?
At Chris's, their chili cheese fries.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody and their chili cheese fries. And boiling crab.
Oh.
Yes, boiling crab, but the one here in Alhambra, I don't know if...
Which one?
There was one when I was introduced to it, maybe back in 2016.
Uh-huh.
My husband took me to it. It was a small little shack.
Oh, okay.
And they moved on. So now they're in Rosemead by the Ulta. That's all I know, by the Ulta. Because of how packed it would get. Like, there's no place to see. And they don't even use utensils. You kind of just eat with your hands there. You know, it's shrimp. It's like a shrimp boil in a bag. Yeah, it's delicious.
So that's the original one, I think.
That's
It's a standalone building on Valley. And then I think they had another one on Las Tunas in like downtown Alhambra.
Yes.
But the wait was just
Ridiculous.
ridiculous
Yes, it
all the
was.
time. Yeah. Scott doesn't eat seafood, so.
Yeah.
No, you eat.
Now.
Well, I will eat it if somebody like takes the shells off for me.
You don't like the work.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's not worth
ceviche.
it for the
Oh.
little piece of.
No, maybe ceviche. In our culture, we...
When I can hold a big hamburger in my hand like that,
It's easier.
Do you get, what do you get at boiling crab?
At boiling crab, we love the mussels. We'll do the whole shebang for that one. We'll get shrimp. We'll get like a pound each. Well, we used to. We're a little older now. All the spiciness, it's not you can't handle it the same. I love spicy, but we don't really go as much as we used to.
So whole shebang, like I think they offer like butter, garlic, some other thing, and whole shebang is like all their seasonings together. That's what I would get, and
Yes.
I think one time we got hot and it was just
No, that's too
awful.
much.
It was
we get medium.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can do mild, which is even better.
Well, they both had, well, actually, I don't know if you can count it because she went first, but it's a rare thing for there to be 3 unique SGV3s on the show. So
I have more than 3, but
Yeah.
well, thank you for sharing that with our listeners. Definitely go check those places out. It's always fun to introduce to the listening audience, new places to go see and then have someone describe them.
the Arboretum is great, if I'm saying
yes.
that correctly. The Arboretum in Arcadia. is
Oh,
amazing.
Arboretum.
The Arboretum.
Yes.
There you go. That's amazing. My kids love going there. So if you're a mom and you want to take your kids somewhere local where it's just, that's a hidden gem.
Sure.
Nice.
Sure.
A little sanctuary.
We were just talking about it on our last show, actually.
Yesterday.
It's a nice little retreat. The Descanso Gardens are beautiful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's definitely one we do often.
It's not every city or area has these incredibly beautiful places like that to go.
These gems, these hidden, that they're so conserved and protected and taken
Oh,
care
yeah.
of.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know about one too. It's on Don Julian Road. I don't remember the name. It's a little museum. There's 2 houses. There's an older one, and then there's a newer one about this family and how they grew up there.
Yeah, that's right in City of Industry,
yes.
isn't it? Yeah.
And there's a pond with
Yeah.
koi fish.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice.
What? I never heard of this.
Beautiful.
I've heard of it, but I don't know the name either.
I don't know the name.
I
It's
know
on
what
Don
you're
Julian
talking
Road.
about.
It's on Hacienda and Don Julian Road.
Maybe
Okay.
it's a 100-year-old
It
house.
is.
Yeah.
It is very. There's 2. There's a newer one, and then there's an older one. My mother-in-law actually took me there, and then I took Daisy, and she's like, "What? Like I've lived here all these years, and I don't know about this." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
So many hidden
nice,
gems.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure."
Awesome. Well, look at how much Jasmine has come out since the
I
beginning
know.
of the show. No, it's good. It's good. Well, so
She's going to host it
next.
before before we're done.
Yeah. Well, can you share with the audience, how they can find your product, where you guys listing all this stuff? Share with them where they can get in touch with you.
On Jentle Femme for sure for both of us. You'll find our personal as well. We'll tag each other. If I'm modeling, I'll tag myself. So Jentle Femme with the J, Gentle, and then Femme, Femme. We're also on TikTok.
That's on the
Instagram.
Instagram platform.
Yes,
Okay.
Instagram, TikTok.
Under the same name on TikTok.
Yes, under the same name on TikTok as well. Our email, jentlefemme@gmail.com.
And jentlefemme.com if you want to look at
Oh,
our
that's
whole,
right.
full website. We have jentlefemme.com, but it's gentle with a J, so we dropped the G for our names, Jenn and Jasmin.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So we did a little wordplay there. So some people are like, "What? How do I spell it?" So it's gentle with a J and jentlefemme.com. So our handles are all the same all across.
And is that where they can actually view your products and purchase them? Is on the website?
Yes,
Yes.
for now, correct. And then in the near future, we will be doing pop-up events and going into markets, like we said. So we look forward to bringing that in-person experience as well.
Well, wonderful. Stay tuned for that, and then the listeners will be looking out for that in the future.
So I did listen to your podcast with you, Russell.
Oh, okay.
I heard you went to Marquette High School.
I did.
About
Yes.
that. I was in the JV soccer team at Bassett, and I actually twisted my ankle there
At Mark Heppel.
at Marquette.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I remember it was horrible.
Well, he just twisted his ankle the other day.
Horrible.
So
Horrible. And my mom, she's Mexican,
yeah.
so she was like, "You don't need to go to the doctor. I'll take you to a guy so he can massage it." Oh my goodness, I should have never gone.
Oh, is that what I
yelled.
shared in my
You shared that you went to high school, and I was like, that's like a memory unlocked for me because I twisted my ankle. It was horrible.
I told you she was going to host this show. And
She'd be great.
now she is.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
Oh wow! So okay, well, I have no responsibility or what is that? Yeah, I'm not responsible for.
You're
any
not liable
injuries.
for it, but she doesn't like you just the same.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show and for sharing your story and those very vulnerable moments of times in your life where you guys have really overcome and sharing that with our listeners. And hopefully there's something there for them to also be inspired by. I look forward to what you guys do in the future. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
both.
having us.
Yes,
It's been a
thank
fun
you.
experience. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, there you go. There's another episode for you. Thanks for tuning in. And if you like this kind of content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can reach us on our email, info@sgvmasterkey.com, and on our website, www.sgvmasterkey.com. And we'll see you really soon in the next episode.
You've been listening to the SGV Master Key Podcast. Our passion is the small businesses and the people that make up the San Gabriel Valley, and it's our honor to have them on the show. We hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to like, rate, and review. The show is produced by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers of Kind Monster Productions. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on the SGV Master Key Podcast.
Master, no, kind of master.